Well, look who just waltzed right into my podcast. If you're here, it's not an accident. This is the Look Up Podcast. It's a place where we discuss how to stay connected and looking up rather than living in the monotony and anxiety of the brain, looking down. We're going to dive into deep emotional healing, spiritual wisdom and experiences, and above all, how to reconnect and stay connected to God, nature, each other, and ourselves. Welcome to the Look Up Podcast. I'm your host, Harmony Sunshine. Self-love and self-acceptance turn into universal love and universal acceptance. Yesterday, so I'm recording this on Sunday, the day before it launches, so March 6th, 2022. Yesterday was our first super warm day of the year, of the season. Spring is finally springing. It was over 70 degrees. The sun was out. The wind was blowing in a super amazing, majestic way. It was honestly my absolute favorite kind of weather ever, and that's probably for a lot of people too. I love when it's warm outside but not hot, and the breeze is like strong, and it's cool but not cold. Just thinking about it, it's like such an invigorating feeling. It just feels so good. So I just wanted to share this story. So yesterday, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to go be out in this weather. I need to experience this. And so I stopped what I was doing and I drove over to this, I don't know what the heck you call it. It's like a park. It's like, there's a lot of things. It's like a walkway, like a really long walkway, but it like crosses like a big park and it goes right along the St. Joseph River. It's just really beautiful. But I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to walk over there. I'm going to go on a run. So I was going on a run. I was having a good time. And then whenever I was heading back, I was just walking and I was just listening to music and my headphones broke. So I was just listening to it out loud. Also, sorry that I keep clearing my throat. It's because I just had hummus and I didn't drink that much water after. So that's what's going on. But anyways, so I'm walking down the street and everything is just divine and perfect. And it feels so good to be alive. And it feels so freaking good to be outside. And there was so many people out yesterday because it felt so good. And I just kind of noticed like when people weren't walking past me or like when they weren't like in my field of vision, like I would feel more comfortable like staring at the sky in awe or the water or just randomly getting like the giggles of joy and just like being in the moment and being in the good feelings that were coming to me. But then when people would come up, I would like start to feel shy and I would like just choose to not be my fullest self. And then I like realized, why am I not being my fullest self? And this kind of ties into the freak flag episode. But it's like, why am I not being my fullest self? Because my fullest self is that childlike joy that I'm experiencing right now. And it's like, why do I feel like I can't be enthralled in the sky and the water and the wind and I can't be moved by nature when there's people coming by? Why do I care what these random strangers think that I might never see again? Also, why am I automatically assuming that they're going to think something bad? So then I was like, why don't I just be myself? Why don't I just let my self-love take over? Let my self-expression and self-acceptance take over? Why don't I just be in my body and do what I want to do? So I was pushing myself to continue to be happy and continue to be joyful and continue to be in wonder of this beautiful day, even when people were seeing me. At the very end of my walk, I started skipping, and I was like, I cannot remember the last time I skipped. Why don't we skip more? This isn't to put shame on people for not skipping, but it's like, as a kid, I skipped all the time. Now when I skip, it feels kind of different because like my body is heavier. I'm not used to it. But I'm like, the only reason I could come up with for not skipping is being scared of what people would think. Not being able to accept myself. Because it's not actually us being afraid of what people will think. It's us being afraid of what our mind is going to tell us people are thinking, not what they're actually thinking. Because we really don't know what's going on in someone's brain, but our brain wants to convince us that we do, because our brain's always trying to protect us in every way possible, which is nice of our brain, but it's annoying. So yeah, I started skipping, and it was like, I should do this more. Why am I not skipping more? Like, this is nice. Like, I'm being a child. Like, that's so childish of me. I don't even care. Like, it was so nice. And then at the very end of the walkway, there's a bridge that goes over the river. It's not a very big bridge, but that spot in the river, I'm not sure, like, why. I don't understand all the logistics of it. It's something to do with, like, the kayak races they do there or whatever. But it's like the water's super, 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 super rough right there. And so it's just really powerful. And the wind was just going crazy at that point. It felt, I was like, you know what? Like, I had been enjoying the wind, during my walk. I was like, let me just stand on this bridge and just receive from this moment and just be alive to today. Be alive to the wind. Be alive to nature and to this moment and to myself. And like I said, there was so many people walking by. So it was a little awkward. Like, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't like completely embodied and like unaware of people. But I allowed myself to be what I desired to be. I allowed myself to stay in that moment and to possibly look weird to people. Like, I had my arms up. Like, I was just like, I felt like a bird catching the wind. Like, it was so beautiful. It brought me back to this moment where an ex-partner of mine and we were at Lake Michigan, and it was about to storm. And so the wind was going crazy and the water was crashing, and it was sunset, and it was amazing. And I was just like, the wind was like ripping through me, which is like such an incredible feeling. I just want to state that, like, if it's ever super windy and it's not really cold, stand out in the wind and like visualize the wind like blowing through your chest, like through your heart, and like opening everything up for you, or wherever you feel tightness in your body. Like, I carry a lot in my heart space, but like imagine the wind, because like wind is literally like the breath of God. That's how I look at it. Like, it's so powerful and beautiful. And I feel like sometimes the things I say, again, this could just be my brain telling me what people are thinking, but I guess sometimes I don't know, people kind of have said some stuff to me about like my podcast being like too new agey or whatever, but I don't know, man. Like, it's whatever you want to look at it as. My podcast isn't religious. It's not new agey. It's not, like, it can be any of those things if that's your lens, but that's not my lens, and that's not where I'm coming from. It is what it is. That was actually what I was going to do the podcast on this week, is it is what it is. Maybe I'll do one on that in the future, but yeah. So get out of your head with thinking, wow, letting the wind blow through my heart. Like, that is so hippie. Like, that's so woo woo. Like, no, I'm not doing that. That's weird. Let yourself come into your body. Let yourself be a child. Kids just do what they want to do. They just do what feels good. They do what makes them happy. They're always going to be choosing the thing that brings them the most joy. And that is what brings us our highest good, is choosing the thing that brings us that deep joy. anyways, I got kind of distracted, but yeah, so I'm just standing there, really enjoying the wind, and it was so beautiful and amazing. The story about Michigan. So yeah, I was like enjoying the wind so much when I was there with my ex-partner at Lake Michigan, and like this person like thought it was awesome too, but didn't want to stay for as long as I did, and I just felt like that person didn't do anything wrong, but I just felt like part of me like shriveling up in a way, because it was like I just wanted to like fully be. And I could tell that this person could like, was kind of noticing how people were looking at me and like stuff like that. And so like to have this moment yesterday of redemption, of standing at the water and allowing the wind, like every time I talk about it, I have to like take a deep breath because it like really is hitting me. But like having that redemption moment yesterday of like, you're allowed to do this. You don't have to leave. We can stay. You can stay here as long as you want. You're allowed. You're allowed to be yourself. You're allowed to step into self-love and live there. Making self-love a body to live in. It was just so divine. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful redemption. But I was like, man, I want other people to feel what I'm feeling. And so there was this beautiful woman. She was probably in her 50s or so. It was hard to tell, but I was like, hey, you gotta try this. You gotta like stand right here and just like feel the wind. Like it feels so good. And this lady comes and she stands there and she's just like smiling and laughing and just like feeling it. And she didn't know me, so I'm sure like, she didn't want to stay there for too long and stuff. But her and I started talking, and it was this beautiful moment that we wouldn't have had if I hadn't said anything. And between that and the skipping and me kind of like being a freak out there on my walk, it made me realize, I just have to say this side note. Also on my walk, speaking of freaks, I saw this lady that was riding her bike, and she was pulling a little, like, I don't know what you call it, like a tiny thing that a kid is in. It's like hitched to the bike. Anyway, she had one of those on her bike, and she had 2 cats inside, and they were so cute, and they had little harnesses on. But yeah, anyway, so her freakness connected with my freakness, and that brought more joy to me. So actually, this does tie in. But between all of those things, like I had this visual picture of like me walking with like all these like keys, like you kind of put, like if you have one of those wristband or whatever key bands and you put it on your wrist, like I kind of saw that, but like all the way up my arm, there was like all these like wristbands with like a key on it. And I was carrying all these keys. And it was like, when I allowed myself to be a child, to be joyful, to be exactly what I wanted to be playful, to be in my body, to just fully be in that moment and just be so silly and just be myself. Like if people were open, it was like giving them a key to like unlock part of that in themselves. Like whatever we're putting out there, we're showing people like that's what's normal. And so I feel like the reason I don't skip like is because it hasn't been made normal to me. I never see people doing it. But if I see someone skipping, they're giving me a key, like a permission slip of like, oh, I'm seeing this now. Wow, now this is mine. I claim this as my own. And like same with that. The cat lady, she gave me a key. Wow, like she has her cats out in public and she's proud and she doesn't like care what people think and her cats can handle it. Like it seriously gave me a key. It gave me this permission slip to be like the freak with my cats and to not care and to just like fully embody who I am with pride. And just shake off any shame. But yeah, so when we fully embrace ourselves, it is a mirror for people. We're always a mirror. So why not be a positive mirror? So when we fully embrace ourselves, it's a reflection for people to say, I can fully, if this random weird chick is fully embracing herself right now, if she's being so weird and like nothing bad is happening to her, what's stopping me from fully embracing myself? And there's been a lot of people that have been, given me keys and been a beautiful reflection for me to be like, if they're doing this, why can't I do that? Oh, I can. I'm holding me back. Like the prison is in your mind. But yeah, I actually had a really beautiful conversation with my brother today, Chan Lee. Hello, Chan. And I just was talking to him about, he's just like stepping into a new season. It's just really beautiful to see him embodying what he feels is in alignment for him right now. And Chanley's someone who when he gets into something, he gets really into it and like really passionate about it. And then like he will like live that out, and then there'll be something like a new thing to learn about. And then he like does a lot of research and learns a lot and like invests and like all these things. So it's really cool to talk to him because he's that way. He's just learned a lot and he just has a lot of good insight. But today we were talking, I was like, Chanley, like, I want you to feel like you can like fully be yourself, and that the way that you are, of like being interested in something a lot and then, a month later being interested in something else a lot, like that's divine. Like we put so much shame on things sometimes if it's not like, okay, you're doing this and now you're doing this forever and you don't get to change at all. Like I remember when I worked at the post office, like people would always be like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Whenever you're here for 30 years, then you'll blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really liked that job, but I was not planning on being there for that long. Like we're meant to have the freedom to stay if we desire, and the freedom to move and flow. And if something is like catching Chanley's attention or your attention, you're meant to learn about it. You're meant to dive fully into that subject and embody that and learn as much as you can and like really experience it. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in flow. The only shame is the one that we put on ourselves. Like people can try to cast shame upon us, but it's only when we pick it up and call it our own that it sticks. But yeah, so I was like, dude, yes, like freaking be your fullest self. Like whatever you're learning about right now, like go all in for that. And then go all in for the next thing, whenever the next thing comes up. Like it's so cool to see him not being stagnant. Like it's really amazing to learn from him in that way. And I don't know, it just was really beautiful. Another thing is, and like seeing him like that, it kind of like the permission slip, the keys again, right? Like it gives me a key to like unlock myself in that way. Not force myself to be stuck on one thing and I have to do this and only this. It's like, no, why don't I fully experience what feels right for me now? And then when a new thing comes up, when a new topic comes up, when a new friendship comes up, like enjoy that while it is there as well. So this brought up to me a friend that we both have, me and my brother. And I was talking to him about it and I was like, this friend, maybe in the past year or two, has given up some things that I really resonate with and love. So for me, I was like, oh, like this person is not in alignment. Like, you see, they're giving up these things that was like a part of them. They're like cutting off a part of themselves. And I was like so worked up and upset for this friend. But like recently, I've been connecting with them and realizing maybe they are at their like highest good right now. And like, who am I to say that they're not at their highest potential, that whatever they're doing now whatever they're doing now isn't serving them to their fullest. Who am I to say that? I'm not. And it's honestly expanded me so much to love this friend where they're at, and to see because this friend is into things that I'm not. I'm making it sound like it's evil. It's not evil. But resonates with different things than I do. It's actually freaking teaching me so much. I get to see through their lens instead of just constantly seeing out of my own, and constantly surrounding myself with people that see out of the same lens as I do. And so by giving this friend love, it's actually allowed me to have more love for myself, because I think there's a lot of pressure put on ourselves and others when we're okay, but you have to be this way, and you have to be into this because I'm into this. Or if you're talking to yourself, it's okay, Harmony, you have to meditate every single day because that's what the spiritual community says that you're supposed to do. Okay, Harmony, you have to go to church, and you have to go to this kind of church. And if you don't, then that just says a lot about you. Okay, Harmony, you have to eat like this. And you have to always, being vegan, you can't ever have cheese. You can't ever eat meat again in your whole life, or you're evil. It's these boxes that we put ourselves in that no one asked us to. And whatever we do to ourselves is we're going to do to other people, because everything's a reflection of us. So by being able to see this friend different than me, who walks a different path, who breathes a different color, getting to see this friend as wow, what a leader. What a divine soul. What a beautiful teacher that I can learn from. Wow, look at her in her highest potential, operating in such a beautiful way, so much to teach me. That unlocks me. Acceptance for that friend unlocks acceptance in me. So we're constantly just giving each other keys. Yeah, and again, we're not one to say if someone is off their path. And another thing me and Chanley talked about today was everyone is doing the best that they know how. And I know that might not sound true, because it's no, I knew better, I shouldn't have done that. Or no, my dad knew better, he shouldn't have done that. But it's we knew better pointing at my brain, but we didn't know better pointing at my heart. We knew it in our head, right? This is wrong, I shouldn't do this. But in our heart, in our subconscious, in our core, we hadn't fully actually accepted, learned, and integrated it. So everyone is just doing the best that they actually know how. And that revelation, it's actually the first one that told me that was Sammy Robbins, so shout out to her. But once we take that revelation to heart, it really shifts the way we see people, and it gives so much more grace as well. Speaking of giving grace, okay, my computer's saying something, but just staying on the topic of giving grace, and then also how our self-acceptance turns into universal acceptance. So I realized that I would lash out at my friends when I felt like I wasn't receiving love, and when I felt lonely, and when I felt hurt. And I was these women, it's usually girls, these women are such horrible friends, blah, blah, blah. They're never there for me, which, I mean, there has been some of that. And I've tried to, kind of weed that out. But I kind of had this revelation where it was I noticed that when I would feel the urge to text a friend and be hey, it'd be nice if you check in on me every now and then, what the hell? That I actually was neglecting myself. And I was actually trying to outsource, and I've talked about this before, but outsource my connection, my comfort, my love. I didn't want to give that to myself. I wanted somebody else to do it for me. So I'm lashing out on a friend because they quote unquote aren't reaching out and aren't checking in and blah, blah, blah. But the reason I'm lashing out is because I just want to be loved. And since I'm refusing to give that to myself, I have to get mad at everybody else for not giving it to me either. And they might be giving it. They might be giving the love and I might just not see it, or I might be rejecting it. But it's like this space of why. It's always with the why. Why am I lashing out? Why am I feeling this way? Taking that pause and being like, oh, okay, what do I need? What do I need in this moment? And it's like, wow, yeah, I guess I am feeling pretty sad today. I guess I am feeling pretty lonely. I guess I have been ignoring myself and ignoring the signs. I also noticed that I would reach out to people in a loving way when I was needing love. And I think people know that I've done this because lots of times, not so much anymore. Not that I'm like against it. I still think it can be a really beautiful and healing thing. But like a lot of times when I was feeling really sad, I would post on Facebook, like this status and I'll give you a compliment or something. Because I really do like to express my love in words. Even though it's not my personal love language, I feel like I'm really good at expressing it in that way. And so I actually wanted to be loved, so I was giving it out. Instead, which is beautiful in its own way, but I could have cut out the middleman and taken time to nurture myself. And here's the thing with this situation and then the lashing out one I was just saying. When I take time to nurture myself, I'm actually going to be in a much healthier space to talk to my friends and to reach out and to come at conversations from a place of, I don't need you necessarily. Like, I'm not going to die without this connection, but wow, does your friendship benefit me? And like, what a different space. And because I can give myself that love and that acceptance and that nurturing, I can mirror that to the world and I can be a more loving and accepting and nurturing person. I feel like my sister Dynasty probably knows me better than anyone. And I think she could tell you, like, when I'm not being loving to myself, I'm like really snippy. And like I snap on her, or I'm just like, don't talk to me, or like, I don't know, there's just like certain things. I'm making it sound really bad. It's really like, I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. But when I'm in a loving space of like not loving someone, but loving myself, that's when I can give freely. That's when I can flow. Because I actually truly believe we aren't meant to give. Dun dun dun. I don't believe we're meant to give. I believe we're meant to channel. So instead of giving out of yourself, channeling love, acceptance, purity, wisdom from God, and like letting that go from the divine through you and then out. Instead of trying to give stuff out of your supply that was only meant for you. Instead of that, channeling and bringing the love down from God, coming in through you and then out to them, instead of taking from your supply. I feel like this episode was kind of scattered. But that's okay. I have love and acceptance for myself. I also wanted to say, I think this is going to be the last episode of this season. I won't, yeah. unless something changes. But I think I need that time there's just a lot going on in my life right now, and I would rather have some time off and like take the pressure off of myself of posting every single Monday, and like record episodes like when I feel like they come to me, and then when season 2 comes out, like I'll have some ready and things will be more settled. I'm just in the process of moving. There's just been a lot of shifts in my life, and I want to honor myself and honor where I'm at. And also, I always want to bring like my most authentic self to the podcast. So I don't want to like continue to post every single week with no break if it's going to be coming out of a striving energy. That's just like not what would be best for me, and it's not what would be best for you listening either. So yeah, this is the last episode of the season. I'm going to say I'll start posting season 2 in a few months. I'm planning on moving at the end of April, fingers crossed. So, in May, things will be more settled. My birthday is at the end of April, so maybe I'll post for that. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I just really appreciate all of the love and support that you guys have reflected back to me, and hearing your revelations that you receive from the podcast, like things I didn't even say, but like the things I was saying triggered things in your heart. Like that has been such a beautiful experience, and I truly treasure your revelations about my revelations so much. And so thank you for sharing. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Again, you can like, share, subscribe. You can financially support the comments. You can financially support the podcast. It's in the show notes. And yeah, just keep me posted if you have thoughts. Also, I'm open to taking suggestions. So if there's something that you'd like to hear me talk about, or if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, I'm open to that as well, as long as, it feels like it's in alignment for you, I, and the podcast. But have a beautiful, beautiful day, week, month until I talk to you again. And it's been wonderful. So thank you again.